Hi, and welcome to TechStep. In this video, we show you how to connect remotely to an Ubuntu server. We're going to look at the necessary steps to set up an Ubuntu server for a remote SSH connection and how to connect to it remotely. We look at two different methods for connecting remotely, the Windows subsystem for Linux and PuTTY. And to consider, from a Linux host, you'll be able to do this right from a terminal as long as you've installed SSH as a client on your terminal or on your Linux machine. All right, so SSH stands for Secure Shell. I honestly can't tell you what the H stands for. My only guess is that it has to do with the fact that you land in your home directory of the user you sign in, and perhaps it has to do with the H. But hey, if you know, be sure to leave a comment and let us know. All right, so let's take a look. We're going to get started on our web server. So there's a few things we have to do on our web server. I'm going to sign in here. Okay. And all right, so I want to take note just about dead center of the screen there, you'll see IP address is 192.168.0.25. Take note of that. Maybe just write it down on your machine what it tells you when you sign into your Linux server, because we're going to use that to connect. It'll avoid any issues that you might have with DNS, because that's a whole other issue. Okay, you will note also that at the bottom here where the prompt is, it says our username and an @ symbol and the host that we're currently on. So our web server is the name of the host, is at IP address 192.168.0.25. SSH will allow you to connect using either one of those identifiers for that host. What will stop you is bad DNS, and so your best bet is to use the IP address if you know what it is for your machine. And when you first log into your server remotely, take a look and make sure that you're where you want it to be. The IP address and the host name are there to tell you. So make sure that you reference those, because you don't want to be running the wrong command on the wrong server. All right, so on the client or on the server, the first thing we're going to want to do is run our regular update commands. And it's going to prompt us for our password. All right, and so we're just refreshing our repository. And then we're going to upgrade any packages that are available for upgrade. So let's do that now. Sudo apt-get upgrade. Excellent, we have a package to update, so let's say yes. All right, our system's ready to install the SSH server. So let's run our command, sudo apt-get install SSH. That's all there is to preparing your server, folks. For a basic connection, there are several more secure ways to do this, and in a public network or traveling through a public network, you're certainly going to want to use the keys and some of the other security features that are available. But just a username and password in your LAN is more than sufficient. All right, so we've now prepared our server for remote connections. If you're running your server in VirtualBox, something to consider is that once you've done this, you can start your server up headlessly, which will allow you to not have a window with your server running anywhere, and still using SSH from a terminal like the Windows subsystem for Linux or PuTTY. You'll be able to manage your server and have it operating in your network completely virtual. Okay, so take note of that. So I'm going to take a quick moment and we're just going to look at the PuTTY website. So this is one of the methods that you can use to connect to your server remotely. The nice thing about PuTTY is there's nothing to install. PuTTY is ready to go. You just launch the PuTTY window, and before I do that, I'm just going to mention that at the top here you can see there under download there's a version called stable. You'll want to click on that link to get the version that you'll need. And once you've done that and you've launched PuTTY, you'll see this little window. Really all you have to do here is put in the host name or IP address. Now I again recommend using the IP address over the host name unless you are certain that your DNS is working properly. All right. So I'm not going to go ahead and do the connection in PuTTY, because what you see when we click open will be exactly what you see in the second method we're going to look at, which is the Windows subsystem for Linux. And you'll see here under getting started there is a link to download or to install it. It's part of the Windows system. You may have to reboot to get it all to work, but it's fairly straightforward. You can follow the directions right here on the Windows website. Just in Google you can type Windows subsystem for Linux to get the link. It'll be probably the first one that comes up, but it's the Microsoft one. All right, so once you've downloaded and installed the Windows subsystem for Linux and it's all working, what you'll have when you launch it is exactly what you get when you launch a terminal in Linux. Is just that, a terminal with a command prompt. All right, so you'll note here in this terminal the system name is actually Aaron Home PC, not web server like it was where we started out on the server. All right, so I'm going to from here I'm going to try and connect to the servers. So the first thing we're going to want to do here is update our system. So sudo apt-get update. Now you're going to want to run sudo apt-get upgrade. I know I have some package management to do, so I'm going to skip that step, but you'll certainly want to run that command on your system just to make sure that you're all patched up. So that command would look like this. And you would just say yes to the prompt and update any of your, or upgrade any of your packages that are available for upgrade. Like I said, I'm not going to do that because I have some package management to do. So the next step is to make our connection. So we're going to run the command ssh, and on that machine my user is administrator, and the system name is web server, but we're going to use the IP address that we noticed before, which is 192.168.0.25. Okay, so let's go ahead and run that, and it just wants to check the authenticity of the host. It doesn't know who that is. It wants to make sure that we're okay with connecting with it, and so we're going to go ahead and say yes, and it'll store a key so that it knows next time not to ask us this question. All right, it's added that key to the list of known hosts, and we're going to supply our web server administrator user's password. All right, you'll notice IP address there is 192.168.0.25, so we're connected to the right address, and we'll also note that the username is administrator and the host name is web server. So we are now connected to our web server. You'll notice it says there's 2 packages available for update. While we're here, let's do it. Sudo apt-get update. And sudo apt-get upgrade. And we're going to say yes here. And we're working away on our server, but this really concludes our video. Thanks for watching, and be sure to watch for some more videos on what we can do with our Ubuntu servers. Okay, be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed our video. Every little bit helps, and thanks very much.